So I have here a bunch of just little quick, I just pulled them off the internet, little quick thumbnail-y value ideas. You guys see that?
Yes.
I love these techniques because you can do these thumbnails very quickly, like 5-10 minutes, probably 5 minutes. And then we're going to see how we can apply color to these very quickly. So this one, these are really simplified, which I think is a good way to learn how to work, because those look great. They give you mood and atmosphere and the basic idea. Here's another one. It's also a really good example of there's nothing here, but there's kind of everything there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Really good way to learn how to work. And then look at, he's playing with his edges in here, by the way. Look, he's got hard edges, then soft edges, and then soft edges back here. Fairly softer edges, but not really soft edges, implying it's technology. And then back here, this sort of feels like it could be a hill with some trees or something. Anyway, all suggested. Does that make sense? This tool lives up here, image adjustment. I think it's under here. Gradient map right there, but we're not going to use it there. We're going to go here and we're going to do our layer, whatever you call it, adjustment layer. We are going to go right here and go gradient map. Okay, not gradient, which is up here, gradient map. And it's going to give you this, which it should have started as, wait, let's do this. Okay, now let's go bigger. Let's go boom. Adjustment layer, gradient map. There we go. Now, what it's done here, I'm going to click this right here. So what it does, it gives me this thing here. I'm going to click this. I always get rid of this one because I don't need it now. And what you have here now is you have your, it's basically the same thing you have in your levels, right? Where only it's going dark to light. You guys see that? That's your gradient, right?
Yes.
So what's going to happen here is I'm going to apply a color, and the color is going to apply to that value within the illustration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If not, it will here in a minute. So I'm going to double click this one, and I'm just going to go with a warm cool thing. So I'm going to go up here to cool. I'm going to keep it. Now, here's the other thing. I want to keep it fairly dark in the darks. If I go up here, it's going to blow it out. So, and I also want to keep some color in here. So what it's doing now is it's mapping this blue to these, to the darks. Okay, so I'm going to go, okay. Now let's go to the other extreme and go to the lights. Oops. I don't know why it's been really hard to select these. I don't want two of these. I want to pull this out. Yeah. And I want to go to a warm and say, I don't know, it's cool, or a warm morning, or a morning. There we go. And can you see what it's doing? It's applying that to the lighter into the scale over here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Which is a very handy tool because you could do these. You can knock out a bunch of color comps and like nothing flat. I'm going to pull it over here. Yeah, I want to keep a little of that. It feels like morning to me. Then I'm going to, now you can either click this and Alt or Option drag it and drag the same color, or I can just click anywhere on this thing and it'll give me another tab. So I'm going to go, I'm going to pull, see if I can pull some purples into here. Yeah. So what it's doing now is it's mapping the purples to this, getting closer to the mid value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make sure. Yeah, that's nice right there. And for something like this, you know, I don't know how much. Let's try and see if I can get another one in here. No idea where to go. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, I like that actually. So this gives me a nice little warm transition into the light. So we're going from blue, sort of going purpley, then going much more red purple, and then into the light. So what you've created here is a spectrum of cools rolling into the light. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that one, so I'll leave it there. It's also picked up some of these in here, which is nice. Now I'm going to see if I can go here. Word it. Oops. There we go. So I went on to the little mask it created and just got rid of it because I don't want the whole thing blue like that. I want to have that black border to really pop it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, another thing that's fun with this is if you do, if you're fiddling around your sketchbook or something, you do a nice little value drawing, like you're not even thinking about it, you just do a value drawing. You can pull it in here and just quickly give it a color pass. Does that make sense?
Mike,
Yeah.
can you repeat how you added the black border? Like the
I
steps?
just, I just put a selection, I inverted it. And then I went here, not on the, I went on the gradient map right here, or the little mask. It made a
That
mask. I
thumbnail.
didn't do it on here. I did it on here.
Okay.
And then I just deleted it. Just to get a nice clean border, yeah? Okay, this is a much more finished idea. I'm gonna go layers, adjustment layers, gradient mappa. And we do the same thing. I'm just gonna start with a warm, cool idea. I have to click there, and then it gives me this. I don't know why it does that. And then I like to get rid of this. Let's do the same drill, see what we can come up with. I'm just going to warm cool because it's easy and it's dramatic. But even that, man, if you're just doing sort of a monochromatic kind of idea, it's nice. If you notice now, keep an eye on this because you sort of go this way, you go color, this way you're going dark, you're adding black essentially. This way you're going gray, this way you're going lighter, okay? Does that make sense? So if I want to keep some blue in here, I can go over here and darken it and still keep some blue in it, like that. And that's mapping to the darks. Like even if I want a monochromatic idea, that's nice, okay? So I'm gonna go over here and do the same drill as we did with the last one. Now, how you guys want to do this is up to you, I don't care. So I want to map this to the lights. And then I'm gonna have to adjust. I kind of like it crazy lit like that. That's true. Then I'm
Hey,
gonna go
Mike.
back. Go ahead.
How often do you use this tool?
For stuff like this, I use it all the time. Why do you ask?
I'm just curious, like how often you use it, or like where do you use it mainly?
I would use it if I was doing something like this or anything, right? Like I said, it could be a kid's book, whatever. Anything where I sort of have a value drawing and I just want to do a quick idea color pass. If I was doing something like this where I had this, whatever, like we talked about before, those thumbnails or whatever, and I just wanted to show an art director or show the team or whatever, I could whip out like, however many, I could whip out 10 variations of those color ideas in like a half an hour. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like really quick. So I just pulled, so it made a second one. If it makes a second one, you can just pull it out. That's too dark. I don't see. I made a second one, which I don't really need, but I'm gonna go. Oh, that's kind of nice. So that mapped to this little foreground element, which I actually like. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this one, let's see if we can. Gosh, damn it. I'm gonna see if I can pull some warmth in here. Or maybe even, let's just try that for the whole. Probably some cool. And you can see I'm just trying to find stuff in here. Like if I don't know what I'm looking for, I don't know what I'm looking for. That's kind of interesting. Now I'm going to pull one here. Oops. Screw up. Although I like that. Shit. Oh, I kind of like that. So it's starting to get a little bit of an evening vibe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I might do here is go, okay, you know, I keep playing with it, obviously. But, and it's nice here how it mapped that purpley color to this vehicle and it popped out and this stuff popped out. So I'm going to make another layer here. I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to make another layer. And I'm going to go to here. Because I might do something like, it's again, it's the same story. A lot of things for me, it's a starting point and then I do something else. Now I'm going to come up here. I want to sample that color. Look at that. That little fountain is kind of nice. You see, by the way, you guys, that's just a texture brush right there. You see that?
Yeah.
So they went click, held shift, got that little ribbon, then probably click, held shift again, did that little highlight on it, and they're out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to see how like simple this stuff is. It's really simple once you get the hang of it. I mean, at least in theory, it's simple. Okay, so I could come in here. And when you do this today, you can, you know, you can add things after if you want. Just don't rely on them, you know, get your overall color scheme going. And then, you know, and I don't have to all go with the same color. Maybe these are more reflecting, they're not on, maybe. Maybe I could take some of this. So I'm gonna do this. Let's put another layer here. There's something bottom lighting it down here. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Let me get some bright in here. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. I like that a lot, actually. That's interesting. Now, I could maybe use that. I don't know if it'll let me do this. Oops. Maybe I can get some reflected light. I'd probably have to justify it because the sky up here is a little different, but that's all right. I like this reflected light, so I'd probably find some way to make it work. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Now, maybe I could go here. Grab that. What do I have this one? So that's what, oh, I've got it on divide. So that's what divide is getting, which I kind of like. but I probably need to go if I want to, you know, I'd have to justify that lighting, which I could do easily. I just put a light source down here or something, you know, but I'm on another layer, I think. Yeah. So let's get rid of that. Okay. I'm going to try maybe to bounce around some of that light of the sky in here, which looks nice. See if I can find a way to integrate it. By the way, that green that's on there, that it feels like it could almost be lichen once you put a cool color next to it. So that's how I could justify it. That's kind of nice. So I could use this as a starting point and then go in and start painting around over it and then use it as my start. I kind of like it really subtle like that. Oops. I'm just adding a little bit of it in here. How I can start to get variations of tone and color. And see how that little bit of purple in there, reflected purple in there, is starting to speak to that it's in the same environment?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also that little bit of green is nice. Again, it feels like some natural. And I could spread this around a little bit. I don't want to overdo it, but I can put quite a bit of it. I don't want to put it everywhere. I'm going to put a little here, I think would be nice. Actually, it'd be up here probably. Then I'm knocking it back. And I probably, see how we start to get a very complex painterly idea very quickly? So let's take this and let's go. This is how I would start it in the real world. I'd get a sepia probably. Some kind of warm neutral. So let's go Control U. And then right here, it knows what the foreground swatch is. So I can hit colorize. Now we got this nice sepia underpainting, right?
Yeah.
And now let's go gradient map. And let's go. So it's going by the first. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do the same thing. Warm, cool. There. And let's see if we can get some sunlight on it. Oh, I'm going to go back here. See if I can push this one. It's weird. Let's pull this out. Oh, there we go. So this is sort of overpowering that blue. So I'm going to pull this into the blue too. But I want it darker. So I'm trying to get a balance here between my warm and cool. But it works fine. Can work either way, to your point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm noticing when I use the black, like we did with that other one, it's fine. Like I don't see it as black anymore. It marries into the values pretty good. Yeah. And now remember one thing with this process, you're mapping a color to a value on that scale. Okay. So and then you also got to remember, like, okay, I'm going in the dark end of this scale. I'm probably not going to put a blasted white color in there, light value in there, because I'm on the dark end of the scale, but in the same thing on the other end of the scale. So you'll start to see how you can sort of dial it into, okay, I'm somewhere in a mid-tone here. I kind of want to think that way. Does that make sense? And go nuts with it, because I mean, if it sucks, do another one, right? Yeah, I would do maybe one of the really simple ones and then do one of the really, or the ones that are a little more complex. All right, you guys, I'll see you mañana.